Okay. I'm just going to take a little roll call here while we're waiting for folks. Okay. Do we have Brent and Gary unmute and say present?
I don't.
I see Gary.
You're both here.
Hi, look at you all. Hi. Hi, Kim. How are you? Good. Okay. Do we have Marcus and Mark Erickson?
I'm here. Hello.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, everybody. I'm here too.
Hi, Marcus. Give it a few more minutes. We're growing up
Kelly,
to
you'll never
110.
guess who joined you. Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I'm going to mute everybody, and when I call on certain folks, just make sure you unmute. We are still growing. I'll give it one more minute.
Mute. She has control over that too.
Okay. Well, welcome. This is our kind of first major look at some of the work that we've been doing in order to make Summit Vista, Utah's first continuing care retirement community, or as we like to call it, a life plan community. And so the story kind of begins about a year ago. And I wanted to kind of take a step back because we have a mixed group of folks on this call today. We've got half of you are residents who are living at Summit Vista. And then there's a percentage of you who are reserved and are moving into Summit Vista. And then there's the other portion of folks who are on our waiting list or have been following us and have been in our network of information for an extended period of time. And you're curious to learn more about our higher levels of care and what that means for you all. And so I wanted to kind of start, and Raquel, if you want to unmute, I just wanted folks to understand a little bit about how we are opening this community, because it really started with a business development conversation that you had in your experience. And folks, Raquel is our director of community life. She has a bachelor's of nursing, so she's a nurse by background. But she'll tell you a funny story about herself. She doesn't like to she doesn't like to be called a nurse because she just loves the whole patient wellness and aspect of the whole body, mind, and soul and caring for our residents in that regard. And so, Raquel, I just wanted to take a minute for you to sort of start the story of how we came to know some of the folks that we are going to be working with. And I will show all of you that information in just a minute. And so, Raquel?
Thank you. I'd love to. And I couldn't do it without acknowledging my colleague from CNS, Kim Dancy. I know she is on the call. I saw her beautiful picture. And so that's really where our story begins. Kim and I got to be good friends and colleagues at a conference, and we were talking about the concept of a life plan community. And we know that residents who choose to call a life care community home are set up better than anyone else not to need higher levels of care. We know that from research and literature. And yet we know that unanticipated healthcare events do happen and that people need a plan B. And so Kim and I were discussing this, and to make a long story short, she came to me and said, I think we can help you. And Kim's organization, which you'll learn about a little bit later, has a specialty in post-acute care. And what we mean by that is the care that people receive both in rehabilitation and memory care in assisted living, as well as the kind of care people receive at home, medical care at home. And they are trusted partners in the community. And what mattered most is that we were philosophically aligned about the importance of caring for people, as Kelly said, holistically. I love that word, because we know that everyone has a different journey, everyone has different needs and different ideas of what it means to live their best possible life and to live well. And so with that philosophical alignment, we started our journey of creating the continuum of Summit Vista.
Yep.
Kelly, did you want me to mention anything more than that?
No, we'll continue to have this conversation. I am going to share my screen now. So give me 1 second. Okay. We have been working on this project now behind the scenes for about 12 months. And for those of you who have driven by Summit Vista or live at our community, you can see this project coming out of the ground. And we are excited to announce that the name of our higher levels of care, or our continuum of care, is called Meadow Peak. And Meadow Peak this is our logo, and our tagline is "Your Health, Our Care." And so from a marketing perspective, we've spent a lot of time making sure that our partners that we're partnering with, which you'll hear more about in just a minute, as well as our advertising agency, we've been working behind the scenes to really make sure from a marketing and branding perspective that this has a very similar feel and look to how we are going to be branding this. And in case you don't know, my name is Kelly Ornberg, and I am the Director of Sales and Chief Marketing Officer at Summit Vista. And so a big part of my job is this branding and marketing. And so we are excited to let you all know that our healthcare building is called Meadow Peak. We are anticipating a grand opening in 12 months. And so, you know, we don't know what the next 12 months looks like, but we sure hope to be able to show you all and tour you around in 12 months and give you a actual look at this community. But for right now, today is just a initial introduction to some of the behind the scenes work that we've been doing. And so before we get into our partners, I want to just talk a minute about the overview of our higher levels of care, Meadow Peak. It is on our Summit Vista campus, and it will have assisted living, skilled nursing, and memory care services. In a brief overview is our assisted living has 54 apartment homes, and there's a breakdown. There are studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms. We have 20 memory care suites. And then in our skilled nursing and rehabilitation and long-term care, we have 63 suites, which will total 75 beds because 51 of those are private skilled nursing suites and 12 are semi-private skilled nursing suites. And we broke ground in January. And a little bit about the team here that has been a part of this. I wanted to take a minute and, you know, have Mark Erickson, Summit Vista's CEO, talk a little bit about how we collaborate and work with those at Summit Vista. One example is, those of you who know, we have a great collaboration with Intermountain Healthcare, and we have a great story to talk about how that came about. But Mark, would you mind just sort of letting the folks know here, you know, sort of how you came to meet Gary and Brent at Mission and CNS, and why we're choosing to partner with these folks in our higher levels of care?
Sure, absolutely. So this has been a startup. We opened our doors for our sales and marketing in January 2016. And we built the organization from scratch. And one of the things when you're doing a startup and building an organization from scratch is it's hard to do everything yourself. And one of our philosophies has been, instead of trying to do that, let's find the best partners, know what we do really well. And we run independent living really well. We've got a fantastic culinary arts program. We've got beautiful clubhouses. We've got a fantastic community life team. But when you think about the other things that we need to do on the healthcare side, it can be very complex and difficult. And so that was one of the reasons early on we said, instead of trying to do our own healthcare, let's partner with the best. And Intermountain is one of the most progressive healthcare systems in the US. They're right in our backyard. They're focused on this holistic wellness and lifestyle medicine. And they said that they would love to be a partner with us on the primary care and acute care side. So that was great from sort of an Intermountain side. When we began to think about how do we do our assisted living, our memory care, our skilled nursing, this can be a highly complex regulated business. And I've certainly done it in the past, but it takes a lot to run that business line. And that's when Raquel introduced me to Brent and Gary and said, we've got an idea here. They said, we've got bed licenses because we shut down a nursing home, and there's a moratorium on nursing home beds in Utah. You can't just go build and open a nursing home. You need to transfer bed licenses. And they said, how about a partnership? Why don't you contribute the land? We'll contribute the bed licenses. We know how to run and operate these things. We've got, many in our portfolio already, and said, fantastic. And so this let us actually accelerate when we were going to bring the higher levels of care on board. And so, we began to talk and got to visit many of their communities that they operate throughout Utah, and are really excited to be working with them. And so that was sort of the origins of it. As many of you heard me say before, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And we were definitely lucky, and they're good. And so it's really been a pleasure working with them. Philosophically, we're aligned, and they can tell you about their organization and how they run it. So we're looking forward to this partnership.
Yep. So Gary and Brent, why don't you introduce yourselves and your organizations and your backgrounds to all of these folks interested?
Sure, thanks, Kelly. And I'm Gary, and Brent's over to my right, probably your left. We're excited to be a part of this new journey. Mission as an organization, we're a 501c3 nonprofit. We've been in business now over 30 years. If care is different than most things, we practice what we call the Eden alternative, which we're very person-centered, person-centric. We create a life worth living model where we really are focused not on just the medical well-being of individuals, but also their personal well-being. As I think as Mark had indicated, we provide a full spectrum of services. We provide skilled nursing care, of course. We also have assisted living facilities as well. We were very excited when we learned more about Summit Vista. We believe that Summit Vista and Mission have similar philosophies, and felt that our cultures would be very easily blended together to ensure that we really provide not only just the state of our care, but also the person-centered type model of care that really can help you through your own life's journey. And I will introduce Brent Jones, who's sitting off to the side of me.
Thank you. I think there's some chats, Kelly, that they can't see us. Is there anything we need to do on our end so that they can see us?
How's that?
We still can't see. Okay. You'll have to ask them if they can see us.
Yeah. Is that better?
Still no.
I think when you're sharing your screen, you begin to, speaker mode. There you go.
There we go. Okay. There.
Suggestion, if you can hear me.
Okay, I'm going to mute all one time, and then Gary and Brent, Brent, I want you to continue. So unmute yourself 1 moment. Okay, Gary and Brent, back at you.
All right.
Okay. Can you see us now, everybody? Nod your heads. Nobody's nodding. That's okay. We'll go ahead. I'm Brent Jones. I get the opportunity of, I work with Mission. I also work with CNS, Home Health and Hospice. And Gary and I have been partners in crime now for a number of years as we've worked together on different projects. But my background, I started about 37 years ago in the skilled nursing assisted living world, and have stayed in that my entire career. Jumped into the home care hospice world about 18, 20 years ago. And now it's been fun to do all of that together. CNS is a pretty young company. It's 92 years old this year. So it's also a nonprofit, a 501c3. But we enjoy working together as Gary and I with Mission and CNS because it truly is that continuum of care that everybody that you might be looking at or that others look at. The care that you need in a assisted living, or that memory care, or skilled nursing, or in your home, your independent living, where you're at now, or other places. And we really feel that we can take care of all that. We have some great collaborations in our company with a lot of different entities in the state, as well as here in the Salt Lake area as well. So it has been an absolute privilege to work with the Summit Vista partners, with the Gardner Group and others. It's just been a real pleasure, and we're really looking forward to it. I was out in the construction trailer yesterday, and we have weekly updates with construction on the construction meetings. And as we were sitting there, it kind of dawned on us, it's like, you know what, 1 year from right now, it's built and we're going to have residents in there. So it was that very true reality that as you see a building in a year, it'll be operating, and we're excited for that. So thank you for letting us be a part of this.
Yep. And Gary and Brent, when did Mission, and for those who might have missed this, if you said it, when did Mission and CNS decide to blend and partner together?
You know, it's interesting because I had the opportunity to serve on the CNS board for about 4 years. Brent and I had the opportunity to actually do a joint venture together on a hospice in Idaho. And between that and serving on various national and state boards, I think that we have probably been friends for 20 plus years. And about, gosh, has it been 4 years ago? 3 years ago, Mission and CNS pulled the boards together. So we decided that since we're both 501c3s, both were looking at how do we create a continuum of care to ensure the highest well-being possible. So we pulled the companies together and have been working on that ever since. So it's been quite some time.
Good. And then I don't know if we have anybody from the Gardner Group on the phone, but they have been extremely supportive of this project and have been leading the investment side as well as the development side. And so the Gardner Company are one of our investors at Summit Vista, and they recognize how important it is to build out these higher levels of care. And so they have taken the reins and have really supported the efforts of this. And they are working on the bank loans and other partners and have been doing a lot of work behind the scenes. And so for those of you who do know, that usually that work is done by Mark Pace and Kem Gardner and Christian Gardner. And then Brad Margetts as well, who is their CFO. And then Ryan Bevan is their president of construction. And he has been fabulous at making sure that this project gets going. As you heard when Mark said that there's a moratorium on skilled nursing beds, we have to have this building opened by May of next year so that we get the certifications that we need in order to be able to operate the higher levels of care based on the timeline of the nursing bed licenses. And so we partnered with TSA. They are architects in the Salt Lake area, and Babcock Design. And normally a project like this would take us 6 to 8 months of just meeting every week and designing. And we sent out bids to architects saying that we only had 90 days to design this thing in order for it to not be delayed. And we had initially 5 architects that were interested, and when we shortened the time frame in half, 2 of them dropped out and said, we can't do that. And so, you know, there's some fun stories with this project as well. But last summer, the core group met, 2 to 3 times a week designing this building in order to get it approved and go through all of the proper engineering processes to be able to break ground in a timely manner. And so we love telling these stories because, you know, here you are asking these architects to cut their time frame, by 60%. And so a big shout out to TSA Architects and Babcock Design for working with us and really pushing us to make the decisions we needed to make to get this project going. So I'm going to go back and share my screen with you all. And so here we go. And I wanted to take a minute to show you all our renderings. Now, some of this has been in newspapers and architect magazines, but I'm gonna show you and leave these pictures here for about a minute. Let me move all of this so you don't see. So this is what you're looking at right here is the middle of skilled nursing is on the left, and to the right is our 3-story assisted living and memory care. And the landscaping is fully built here, and you can kind of see right now at Summit Vista the construction walls going up, but this is the assisted living and memory care entrance. And so you take that sidewalk and you walk all the way around it to the front. And so just wanted to pause here for a minute so you all can see this particular view. One of the elements of design that we wanted to incorporate was at Summit Vista, we have some of this wooden cedar looking under the porte-cochere. And so to tie the buildings together, we really wanted to have some kind of material that would make the buildings unified. We have different architects for our Summit Vista project than we do Meadow Peak, and we wanted to make sure that they were partnering together to create unison from a observation perspective. The next one, this is the entrance to the skilled nursing from the outside. If you are a resident and you want to know sort of where this is oriented, it is at the, when you come into Summit Vista Boulevard and you turn left, the first left is where you see all of the construction trailers of Oakland and Zwick. So this is directly across the street from the Oakland and Zwick construction trailers. And so this is the south entrance, and it is the entrance to the skilled nursing and the outpatient therapy as well. One thing to note is our skilled nursing is all one floor. So the 75 beds, right? I always get these numbers mixed up, are all on one level, where the assisted living and memory care are 3 levels. Here's the first look. I don't even think Gary and Brent have seen any of this. I was working on this presentation last night as things were coming in hot off the press. And this is the assisted living entry. So when you walk into the front doors of the assisted living entry, these are initial designs. And so I want to make sure that everybody knows that things change in the course of whether it's materials and factories, and especially with COVID right now, certain things are shut down. But so this could change slightly, but we wanted to give you an idea of what the interiors look like. And so when you walk in here and you go straight back, you can see the reception desk. Right now it says Summit Vista. It will say Meadow Peak, but we just wanted to create that visual. That is the assisted living receptionist area. To the left, you see a little bistro and a market area. Now, Marcus Cordova, can you let me know if you're on this call? Marcus? Okay. Well, when he's available, one of the things that I really wanted him to talk about is he partnered with the kitchen designers as well as Gary and Brent and really helped build out the culinary program at Meadow Peak as well. And so one of the ideas that was designed was this cafe sort of bistro area to the left. And you know, the idea here is you can get coffees and salads and grab and go sandwiches. It's a much smaller scale of the Cottonwood Marketplace that we have at Summit Vista, but it's a nice option for employees, staff, and residents who live there to be able to utilize this particular bistro.
Hey, Kelly, I'm on the call, and for some reason I was having trouble.
Good.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Marcus. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your background and sort of how you and the kitchen designers thought about how, you know, the design of the kitchens and the restaurants were going to look here.
Sure. So I've been with Summit Vista for almost 3 years now. I had the opportunity to join the organization early on and participate in the entire design of the culinary program, and you know, really what we want it to be like for our residents. I was my background is culinary food service. I've been in the business for over 25 years in multiple capacities. So as we had the opportunity to work on this project, we really wanted to create a culinary program that would be similar to what we have at Summit Vista, and have it really be a cohesive program. So we designed some space within the program that would mirror what Summit Vista has to offer. So when we start thinking about the program, it's kind of in 3 elements and 3 components. We've designed a fantastic kitchen where everything could be made from scratch. And with there's some dining space, restaurant space that could be one type of a cuisine, one type of a menu. There's the walk up and order coffee shop bistro area. You could walk up and order a juice or a smoothie or a latte or a fresh baked cinnamon roll, that type of thing. And then we have another element that we've built in to one of the dining areas that is a walk up and order a fantastic salad, fresh greens, soups, salads, that type of thing. And then the other element that is a little bit unique to what we've done is we've built more neighborhood style or family style kitchens on the assisted living floors. That could be a little more intimate, could be a celebration, a birthday dinner, a special brunch, those type of things. So within the program, we built in a lot of flexibility. And it was a great opportunity to really partner with our architects, our design consultants, and we went over probably about 10 iterations of what that would look like. And I think the result that we came out with, people will really enjoy.
Yep. And so Marcus, I just am now showing everybody the first glimpse at the country kitchen. And, you know, partnering with Gary and Brent and Marcus, one of the things that we have learned is that like intimate spaces for eating, and they don't always want to have to go to a specific area. And so on each floor, we have these country kitchens that we've designed. And so they're these smaller areas where we can bring up food and cook fresh and have folks living in assisted be a part of that. And so this picture that you're looking at right now is the first glimpse of the design that Marcus and the team has been a part of.
Well, and you really want it to feel like home.
Yep.
And that's what we're going for as well. You know, you don't always want to go out to a fancy meal. Sometimes you just want to open the refrigerator and have something that you can make yourself.
Exactly. Yep. Okay, so to go back, as we said, this was the assisted living entrance with one of the bistro areas and the front. Now this is the skilled nursing entrance. This is the entrance from the south side. And when you walk in, you can see the reception desk to the right. But what I want to note is, it's hard to see, but if you look up into the ceiling, you see all of these windows. That is key to the design. We really wanted to capture light coming in from the morning sunrise and give this natural way of bringing the outdoors in. That was really the theme of this entire design. And in the course of the next 6 months, we'll start to be able to show you more and more of the landscaping and how we're bringing those elements from the outside in. But this is the corridor of the skilled nursing side, and you have different offices and different hallways, and over time we will continue to get those renderings. But you can see just how high the ceilings are, and from an architecture perspective, those angles really create just that wide open space and allows us to have the windows on the one side as well. And so we're really excited that we've been able to have the sunshine in the right way so people aren't sweating too much in the afternoon with the Utah sunsets. Here is a shared space. So one thing to note is skilled nursing and our assisted living and memory care do have some shared amenities and opportunities. And so this is our indoor courtyard. What I want to highlight here is the open space. If you look to the left, there are windows. That is a courtyard that is in the center of skilled nursing. And we have all different kinds of plants, and the idea is to have a stream and really have the outdoor elements look like they're inside as well. And if you can kind of peek all the way to the right, I'll move this, you can see on the right, now these are computer renderings, there's a little bench, but there's also some rocks and flowers inside of the building. Again, keeping with the theme of bringing the outside elements inside. And then if you look down the hallway, there's just different meeting rooms, different areas for folks to enjoy dining opportunities. And so, you know, this is really the first time we've put our design and our furniture and the architecture together to create a visual for everybody. And so I hope this is helping give you all an idea of how this feels and looks. And then just one more time, these are the country kitchens in assisted living in particular that give folks options to have more smaller, intimate dining spaces. So I'm going to get into some floor plans and pricing. Now, one thing to note is this is educational, and I don't expect you to memorize any of this, but we wanted to give you a glimpse into what the apartment home sizes and options are. So in assisted living, our studios are a little over 400 square feet. Our 1 bedrooms are 558 square feet, and our 2 bedrooms are 755 square feet. Our semi-privates in our skilled nursing are about 554 square feet, and our private rooms in skilled nursing are 356 square feet. Memory care suites are 340 square feet. Now, some of you might not know what that is, but those of you who, you know, understand square footage and we're in construction or architecture or engineering, one thing to note is that in higher levels of care, your spaces are smaller, because typically you have more care needs and you have more common spaces. And so independent living has larger apartment homes, but higher levels of care tend to be a little smaller. But on an average perspective, our apartment homes and suites are larger than a lot of other places in the area. We really wanted to create that space and allow folks to feel that the space was going to be able to have your couch and your favorite bed and bring what was important to you in, especially our Summit Vista residents who could potentially down the road at some point need to transfer. And we really wanted to make sure that we created spaces that were engaging and inviting. This is an initial glance at pricing for higher levels of care. Now, I want to make sure that everybody here understands that I won't be able to answer a bunch of questions about this, but if you live at Summit Vista, I can tell you that Amy Walker, Raquel Braithwaite, and Mark Erickson understand pricing extremely well. So if you live at Summit Vista, feel free to ask them questions. If you are on the waiting list or are reserved or are curious and you have questions, you need to reach out to Jason or Christy, our retirement counselors, if you have any questions about pricing for higher levels of care. So this is an initial glance that Garrett, our financial analyst, and Michelle, Mission and CNS as CFO, have worked on to give you all starting rates for care levels. So in assisted living, studio apartments are going to range anywhere from $3,600 to $5,600. One bedroom apartment homes in assisted living are going to range anywhere from $4,050 up to $6,050. And then we have two bedroom apartment homes in assisted living, and those will range anywhere from $5,600 to $7,100. Now, the thing to note about the ranges is when you decide to take a look at some Meadow Peak, Mission and CNS have a level of care assessment tool. And so I don't know, Gary and Brent, can you walk folks through sort of how that assessment looks prior to moving in and how you assign the price range based on different care levels? Are you able to share any information on that?
I think what we can, Kelly, I don't have the form in front of me, but really it's dependent on a lot of different factors, some of which you've addressed there: bathing, dressing, grooming. There may be medication management. There may be people need assistance with ambulating. It just really, the document itself is fairly comprehensive. You could have an individual who maybe has some memory issues and needs assistance in directing to where they may need to go, or we may need to assist them to and from the dining room. Certainly bathing and other they call it ADLs, assistance with daily living.
Okay.
A lot of these, everybody, they'll be based on like a point system. And so based on that level of care, there'll be certain points, and then that will kind of determine what that pricing structure would be.
Yep.
And we typically do a quarterly assessment. So if someone's needs are greater one quarter and the next quarter they don't require some of that, then the rates could be adjusted down as well.
Okay, great. Yes, thank you. And so again, we're 12 months out, and as we get closer and closer, we'll have more and more details. And we just wanted to be able to share initial information with you all. Now, we do have a second person care plan. We're working on those details, but if you are somebody who's moving in with somebody else, there is a second person rate based on your care needs and what support and services you need. It is not double, but there will be a second person companion rate as well. And we are working on that. And of course, over time, or when you talk to Jason or Christy or Mark or Raquel or Amy, we can get you some of that information as it comes available to us. But we just wanted to initially be able to show you all what this pricing looks like, because I know a lot of folks for the past 4 years have been curious, and here we are 12 months out and are able to give you some guidelines on that. So thank you very much. Okay, this is an initial look at our studio, and this is the assisted living area. I'm just going to move this over here. Okay, This is 417 square feet. It is designed to be able to show you how you can have a couch and a bed and a chair, and we left lots of additional space in there so you can have more furniture if needed. But you walk into a little kitchenette, and so the door is over here, and you have a little sink and a refrigerator. And if approved after the assessment, sometimes folks are able to have a microwave. It just depends on your care needs. And then you have these common area for sleeping and living, and then you have a bathroom. All of these are ADA accessible, and the showers are 0 entry, so that folks can, if they have a walker or a wheelchair, can roll in and roll out and not have to worry about any slipping or tripping hazards right there. And so just wanted to show you an initial stab at the studio floor plan. This is the assisted living 1-bedroom. And so you can see you enter in from the bottom of the page and you've got the kitchen to the left with the common space of the TV and a couch. And then you actually have a bedroom right here as well, and a double entry, I believe. Actually, it's a single entry into the bathroom right there. And so every apartment home in assisted living and memory care is shower only. And so just wanted to make sure folks knew that. These floor plans, we will start to clean up a little bit, put into some brochures, as well as put on our Summit Vista website. And so I will make these available to folks, and you will have those eventually. We just wanted, again, to have an initial unveiling to give you all an idea of what we're designing. And this is the assisted living 2-bedroom. This is 755 square feet. You've got 2 master suites here. These have been popular. I know that there are couples who do this, and then I know that there are people who share this space. And so we designed 20 of these based on feedback from our partners at Mission and CNS that have said that these are the #1 seller in a lot of their communities as well. And so we wanted to make sure that we were designing to the needs of the market. We're going to move on to just a memory care floor plan and pricing. Memory care is going to be an all-inclusive rate, and this current rate right now is $59.50, and it includes all services. And the assessment tool is more done in memory care just to create a care plan that is safe and personalized for folks who live in memory care. And so this is our pricing for a memory care suite, again, all inclusive at $5,950. And I wanted to show you what the suites look like. This is 2 suites next to each other, just designed with different furniture. So on the left is a single bed, and on the right shows 2 beds if folks do have a companion that they want to share with, or if a spouse wants to move in as well. So it's just showing you the furniture layouts. And so these are 340 square feet again, and they can be private or shared, and they do have refrigerators and private bathrooms. Okay, and then this is skilled nursing. Here we go. Skilled nursing right now we talk about skilled nursing as having a daily rate, and the daily private pay rate in skilled nursing is $385 a day, and the semi-private rooms are opportunities for different folks with different financial needs as well. And so we have lots of different options to be able to support our residents as they move through the process, and folks who are moving in from the outside. But what I wanted to do is show you these suites. They are 356 square feet. They are private rooms in the skilled nursing, so you have your own private bathroom as well. And they are very, very nice and large compared to other places as well. We went through, I think, 5 or 6 different designs, Gary and Brent, and just trying to figure out the best layout of how we get the most space and also create the best experience for the employees who are taking care of our folks in this level of care. And so we had lots of feedback from the team at Mission and CNS of how these how we wanted the rooms to flow and look, not only from a resident safety perspective, but also how can we create the best experience for staff to care for our residents. So I want to take a minute here and answer, I will stop sharing the screen for a moment, answer some questions that we've been asked a bunch in sales. And I'll take a stab at answering some of them, but I will call on some of my colleagues to kind of share some information. So Gary and Brent, one of the questions we have is, you know, you all have a lot of experience in pricing and manage a lot of different communities. How does our pricing compare to other communities in the area? Do you have any information about that?
You know, every year what we do is we do look at the competitive market and pricing there is, what amenity, whether it's an all-inclusive rate or whether it has add-ons to that rate. So I think our pricing is I think it's really competitive. I do think that we are providing, I hate to use the word product, but let's just say product, that's really head and shoulders above others. So in some cases we may be slightly higher, but I think the intent is to provide a service that is exceptional. And to do that, sometimes you may have to charge slightly more.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes. Okay. Another question for Gary and Brent is, and I'm sure you get this a lot, and let me know if you want someone else to take it, but does Medicare cover assisted living or memory care costs?
The answer in most cases, no. And in our memory care, it's a part of the assisted living license, so it does not cover that. Right. And the assisted living also is under a different license category, so that would not be the case. Skilled nursing, however, is a covered service if you meet the criteria for skilled care under Medicare.
If you have somebody that'll come in under, like in the assisted living, let's say that they need home care or hospice, they have Medicare. Medicare does pay for those added services in, but it won't cover the room and board.
Summit Vista and Meadow Peak is the fact that you can live in your independent home or in an assisted living longer, having the supportive services of home care.
Yep, absolutely. Raquel, I'm going to ask you a question. You know, oftentimes we get asked, when does someone know it's time to move out of independent living into assisted living? Because, you know, there's a lot of things that we do at Summit Vista that we can continue to do. And people want to know, well, how do I know if it's time to make a move to assisted living? And who's going to help me with that decision? And Raquel, can you speak to that question at all?
Sure, Kelly. And that is a great question to ask. And the answer is going to be different for everyone. And the good news is that Summit Vista residents never make that decision alone. We have a healthcare navigation team that helps walk through that decision making. And so let me give you an example, if I may take a few minutes, Kelly, is that
yes,
right?
Please. I would love that.
Of what two different scenarios might look like. So in the first scenario, perhaps there's a couple and the one spouse may have some memory issues and experience a gradual decline in those memory issues. The other spouse is active, thriving, going to classes and activities, and has a great group of friends at Summit Vista. And so we would have a meeting with them, and the conversation might look like, can you still be safe and comfortable at Summit Vista with a little extra layer of support? Can we call upon our partners at CNS to perhaps provide in-home physical therapy? Can we use some other resources to help provide care so the spouse who is active and enjoying life and enjoying friends and classes and activities can still do that? And that's important for that spouse so they could continue to be a grounded caregiver. So that's one scenario where someone could stay at Summit Vista. But another scenario, perhaps it's another couple and the one spouse in the couple, again, has, let's use memory issues, and is perhaps wandering through the clubhouse, is perhaps frightened and anxious and not sleeping, and needs so much care that it is exhausting for the caregiver, the caregiving spouse. The caregiving spouse is becoming ill and not able to take care of himself or herself, and finding that things can't continue even with support as they are. In that case, memory care may provide great programming for the spouse who has memory issues, and we may see some of these behaviors resolved, sleep issues resolved, and that extra layer of support that is available in memory care that's different when we could do in independent living may be the best approach. And so again, I'm sorry I can't give you an easy formula, but again, the good news is when you have a nurse social worker team, like you do at Summit Vista, you're never making these decisions alone. We take all of the factors into account.
Thank you, Raquel. And I think the biggest part that I want people to hear about what you just said is it's not black and white. Everybody's story and care needs are different. And we don't ever want to put somebody down a path or in a box just because you need a black and white answer. And our goal, and I always tell folks this, is we specialize in the gray. And it's really important that people understand that the team at Summit Vista and the team at Mission and CNS, it's one of the biggest reasons why we partnered, is we want to be able to support folks and meet them where they're at and always put the resident first and being able to care for them in that way. And so thank you, Raquel, for sharing. And Raquel, while I have your attention, and another question that we get asked all the time, and I'm sure you do as well from the residents, is what if I have long-term care insurance, and how does that look and work over at Meadow Peak? And would you be able to speak to that a little bit?
Sure, of course. So again, each situation, each long-term care insurance product is different, and that is why you have the healthcare navigation team to help you understand what your long-term care insurance will cover and how to access it. Sometimes there's paperwork that needs to be done. Sometimes there's documentation. And again, I want to reiterate that the people who do reside at Summit Vista have the benefit of never having to do that alone. Unfortunately, I think anyone who's had an encounter with a healthcare system or had to start planning care knows that it can be complex. And some people actually hire what's called a private case manager to help them with all the paperwork and figuring this out and what long-term care insurance is going to pay for and how to access it. They actually hire someone to do that for them. And if they do, that costs $125 an hour. For Summit Vista residents, that's just part of living at Summit Vista, is having access to that level of case management. And my colleague, Amy Walker, is actually a certified case manager and knows the ins and outs of this very well. So with the nursing medical knowledge we have, plus the case management knowledge, we can certainly help our residents to maximize their long-term care benefit.
Thank you. And Gary and Brent, I'm sure folks who move in from the outside who have long-term care policies, you have staff at Meadow Peak that will be able to give the companies all the information that they need to get their reimbursement. Is that correct?
You broke up a little bit, Kelly. What
Oh,
was
I'm
the
sorry. How does it, we understand how it works for Summit Vista residents for sure, and when they transfer. But if you have someone moves in from the outside into Meadow Peak and they have a long-term care policy, how does your team support that resident?
we will, first assess the policy, see what the coverages might be. Depending on the policies, we may be able to help coordinate the reimbursement through the policy, or in some cases, the individual may have to themselves. We look at all means of reimbursement first, of course. In some cases, a person may be eligible for Part A and the policy may kick in after you've had Part A coverage. So we look at all of that, and we have a financial team like Summit Vista that we evaluate payment for everybody who comes in.
Great. Okay, this is a question for Mark, Erickson, and Gary and Brent. And the first thing, Mark, Erickson, people want to know is, will there be a resident discount if you moved into Summit Vista first and transferred to a higher level of care?
So the answer is yes. Summit Vista residents who have come from independent living, because they have paid an entrance deposit, will be paying less than someone who would come in directly to Meadow Peak. So there will be a discount, and the discount is actually a function of the size of the entrance deposit. So the larger apartments, because they have larger entrance deposits, will have a larger discount. So that's how we're thinking about it.
Good. And Mark, one more thing, and I know Gary and Brent, you get asked this question a lot too, but a lot of times in sales we get asked, well, if I move into Meadow Peak and then, if I move into Summit Vista and end up needing to move over, will I be able to come back and see my friends and eat at the restaurants or swim in the pool? How does that look? Do we know yet? Are we building that out? Any information on that?
Sure. So the answer is absolutely. This is part of the Summit Vista campus. And so residents who move into independent living and then move over to higher levels of care have access to the full Summit Vista amenities. And so they can come back over, eat in the restaurants, can use the fitness centers, can use the pools. And so that's a benefit of being a Summit Vista resident. A resident who moved in directly to Meadow Peak would not have access to the independent living amenities at Summit Vista.
Great, thank you. Gary and Brent, how does someone, whether they live at Summit Vista or are from the outside, join a waiting list? Or when do you think, we'll start opening up maybe a sales center? Or can you talk a little bit about folks who are interested in that process, if you know any details about that?
I don't have a lot of details yet. Typically, we will provide information on our website. I know Mark Erickson and Brent and I did have a brief conversation to say that we're now going to start seriously looking at include that. There is our website. We don't have specifically Summit Vista or Meadow Peak information on Mission's website yet, but that will be forthcoming. And I'm sure people could also reach out to your team as well, Kelly.
Yep. And you cut out just a little bit. So to reiterate, he said that Mark Erickson and Gary and Brent have started to have those conversations to start building that out. And so just to give everybody on this call a little bit of color, we've been so busy designing and getting approvals and breaking ground that about 12 months out is when we start to say, we need to now start building out programming, staffing, marketing, wait lists, and all of those details. And so, again, this was just meant to be an initial unveiling to give you basic pricing and basic pictures to help create that visual of what Meadow Peak looks like. And so, I anticipate having another one of these in 3 months, and we'll have more information for you all so you can continue to be brought into the fold. And so that concludes my part of the presentation. I would say if there is anything else that Gary, Brent, Mark, Marcus, Raquel would like to share or say, feel free to, I'll give it a minute.
So we did have a question that came in on the chat related to green building design, and that's a question we get a lot, and so I figured I'd take that one. We certainly are conscious about how we're building our buildings, but we've made the decision not to go for one of these green building certifications like LEEDs or something. And the reason is it creates cost prohibitive construction costs. And there's only one person who pays for the buildings that we build, and that's our residents. And so we want to strike the balance between let's build something that's affordable, but let's build something that is green. So, you know, those were discussions as we were designing both Summit Vista as well as Meadow Peak. And that's kind of been our philosophy as we think about green building design.
And then Raquel, I see another question from Carol about what if you only need help with one activity of daily living versus two, and how does a long-term care insurance policy work? Can you address that?
I would say, again, that to really understand these policies, we would need to review them. Long-term care may actually pay for private help in the home, depending on the policy, as well as assisted living and memory care, but it really does depend on the policy. So I would be hesitant to comment without looking at it.
Yep. Nope, great. And I think, again, for those one-off conversations, feel free, you know, we'll do our best. None of us are long-term care insurance experts. We don't have our license in that, but we do help sort of folks understand a little bit more about their policies based on our experience. And I know if you live at Summit Vista, Amy Walker's, you know, can really help with that. And then if you don't yet, Jason and Christy can help you with that as well. And so, anything else? Anybody else have anything to say before we wrap up? I hope you've enjoyed this sneak peek unveiling. As I said before, we've been working behind the scenes to be able to give you a snippet of information, and we'll have more and more information as we start building out this program. And so thank you all for joining and attending. If this is recorded, I know that some pieces have been a little scratchy, and we can send the recording. We'll upload it for you all as well. But I want to thank all of our partners at Mission and CNS, and Kim Dancy and Brent and Gary. I want to thank Raquel and Mark Erickson for all of their hard work and time in helping this project come to fruition. And I can tell you, without a shadow of a doubt, I fully want you all to understand that when you make the move into an independent living, active community, because of what we're able to do and what Raquel's team is able to do from an activity perspective, a social perspective, there is research that suggests that you will live healthier and longer when you make the move while you are healthy. And so for those of you who don't live at Summit Vista yet, I would encourage you to reach out to Jason and Christy and really talk through when you think the right time is. Residents at Summit Vista will have priority over the higher levels of care, and we want to make sure that for those who are interested in Summit Vista, that you're interested in moving in while you can enjoy the amenities. And so I would just encourage you to take the next step and have a tour with Jason and Christy and learn more about how moving into Summit Vista when you're active and healthy can support your overall health and wellness. And so thank you all so much for joining today. I hope you enjoyed this initial sneak peek, and please reach out to any of us who work at Summit Vista for questions. And if we don't know the answer, we'll tell you, and we'll phone a friend. We've got lots of them, as you can see from the call today. So Gary, Brent, it's so good to see you. I can't wait to give you a elbow in the future. So,
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. It's been our pleasure. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we will get you this information. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It's great. It's a real affirmation of what I saw when we came here, the potential.
Oh, there's a potential in them because they